morning. Good morning. Right? We are back here again. Can you believe it? Welcome to First Light Reflections, your weekday morning live stream where we embark on a journey of self discovery and empowerment. And let me just switch over here. I always forget to change this over so I can see the comments for all of those that are tuned in this morning on Facebook, on YouTube. I say good morning to you and welcome, right? Remember, each sunrise offers a new beginning to a new opportunity to reflect on where we are and where we want to be. It's not just about finding yourself, but creating yourself anew each day with, right? What's that word I always say? Intentional, with intentions that elevate your spirit and actions that are going to help to move you forward, right? That's why we're here each and every morning. So I welcome you, and I do hope that you get something this morning that just gets your day going, right? Because like I said, we don't want to end up tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, where we are today. This show is about getting you to be intentional, getting you out of your own head. As you can see, the topic for today, quieting the inner critic, right? Ditching that doubt demon that keeps so many of us stuck behind. Just being consistent and being conscious in the effort, in the things that we do so that we can move forward. That's what it's about. So let's gather together, not just to dream about becoming a better version of ourselves, but actively becoming it. That's what it's about. Whether it's a month from now, a year, or decade, the part of our growth is paved with consistency and conscious effort, right? So let's get things started decent and in order. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for another morning to be able to come together, to be able to find nourishment and fulfillment together. So we thank you and ask that you cover this broadcast in your precious Son, our Messiah's name. We say amen, right? It's always important because a lot of people had intention to be up this morning, but look how blessed and thankful we are. We are here together. So today, let's set a goal, no matter how small, that pushes each and every one of us out of our comfort zone. Good morning, Corner Pocket. How we doing? How we doing out there, Corner Pocket Cookie? So glad to see you. Welcome, 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 right? So let's take a look at this. As I said yesterday, remember, it could be reaching out to someone with whom we lost touch, taking the first step towards a project that we've been postponing, or simply dedicating a few moments to mindfulness. Remember, we started out the week, and what did I say mindfulness was, right? What are we filling our minds full of? Right? Mindfulness, making sure that we're grateful every step of the way. And what's important is that we today take a step, making today distinctly different and more enriched than yesterday. Because as yesterday's topic was, right? Just focusing on that past. The past is done. Yesterday's done. Let's fulfill today. So First Light Reflections is more than just your morning routine. This is a perpetual commitment to growth. So remember, it's in your power, my power, to sculpt out a future that resonates with those aspirations that are buried deep within us. So today, let's make a masterpiece of our own making, one step at a time. That's what it takes, moving forward, one step at a time. Today's episode, right? Well, first of all, let me quit being rude. And what do you got this morning? I got me a nice, beautiful black ginger tea this morning. A Youre black ginger tea. Can you smell the aroma? Man, that's the best part right there. That is a black ginger tea. It's from a company called Youre. It's an African company, and all of the proceeds, of course, go back into building the community within the villages around them. So this is a wonderful tea. I'm sorry. I got to take one more sip. I'm sorry. Right? It's about slowing down, taking time to enjoy the things of life. So, in today's heartfelt episode, we dive into our inner world, confronting those critical voices those voices inside that limit our true potential. These aren't the voices of our peers, our loved ones, but those voices inside that echo constantly in our minds, often holding us back from embracing our full potential, quieting that inner critic, ditching the doubt demon. That's what we're tackling today. Let's take a look at this quote from William Shakespeare. When I read through it, it spoke volumes to me. It says, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Sit on that for a minute. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Shakespeare's words remind us of the profound power of perception in shaping our experiences in this world. The quote suggests that our judgments and our reactions, more than the actual event themselves, determine their value or detriment in our lives. It's a powerful quote. Example, I love graphic design. The way that concepts come together, right? They come to life, the colors, the shape, even down to the typography, the different texts and everything. Not a professional, no formal training, but just something about sitting down, starting with a blank canvas, right? A blank slide, a blank artboard, in Photoshop or whatever, program that I'm using, right? It turning that into a piece of communication for me, something that visually stands out. That's what I love to do, right? It's my playground. It's a space where freedom meets creativity for me. But it also uncovers and unearths a lot of my self-criticism and how and which tends to obstruct my flow, right? It lays out, it opens wide, right? And the self-imposed beliefs that limit my own imagination when it comes to it, right? Even as I I bask in the creative process, that inner critic begins to chime in. Well, this isn't bright enough. This doesn't look that way. It should be more vibrant. Those are the thoughts that come. Well, make this logo stand out more, so others will recognize that this is your brand, make it a little bit more sharp, turn it this direction, well, this nowadays, this is what's, catching the eye on social media. Well, these are the things that, go through my head and can delay me a lot of the time. One of the biggest things, why do you, charge so little? Stop underselling your talent. It's time to charge more, charge more. It's not good enough. Others are going to look at it and say, I wouldn't have done it this way. These are the thoughts that inner critic begin to kick in with, right? The voice that constantly comes through over and over again, right? That inner critic, and I'm here to tell you, is lying to you. It will lie to you. Why? Because it feeds on negativity. It thrives on self-doubt, right? It's just waiting to laugh, sitting back, just waiting to laugh when you fall, and whispering fears when you set those goals to start aiming high. Why? Because it's trying to hold you back and keep you living in fear, never daring to swim in the deep end, never daring to go big, right? So this inner judge is like a broken record playing the same tunes of doubt to you, to me, to everyone out there, right? It begins to rob us of our confidence, of our self-belief, but instead it fills our mind. It makes us mindful with fear and confusion. So this morning, we really want to tackle that. Self-doubt can feel like a huge obstacle. You've heard this scripture many times, but Philippians 4:13 reminds us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. With God's strength by our side, you and I, have the power to overcome the limitations that our inner critic, our inner judge whispers in our ear. What does this voice do? It starts to shatter that confidence. It's constantly whispering, you're not enough. You're not enough. I talk with so many people, and that's one of the biggest underlying things. Well, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough, right? Well, this is the way that this person does it, and I don't think that I can do it that way. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about the comparison. That's what we're talking about tomorrow, just giving you a heads up, right? You're saying, I'm not enough, and you become so convinced of that you start to feel unseen. Some start to feel unloved, right? But then here's the tricky thing about this inner critic, right? This doubt demon. It then deceitfully switches over and then starts inflating you with hollow comments. You're special, you're talented. So it's like a manipulative game that it starts to play in your mind. But know this, your worth isn't defined by the lies of the doubt demon. This voice, it starts to play tricks, knocking you down before briefly lifting you up, only to slam you back down again. It flatters, then floods you with doubt, overwhelms you. Some people come to such a frozen state, not even able to move. Why? Because they're paralyzed with fear of failure. But here's the deal. You're stronger than the games of this doubt demon and more capable, right, than it wants you to believe. And we're going to uncover that today. This inner critic thrives on fear, but Romans chapter 8, verse 15 tells us the Holy Spirit helps us see ourselves as what? As God's children, not failures. This empowers us to challenge that self-doubt and move forward in faith. Tame the judge, right? What are some practical strategies as we get into this morning for inner peace? First, expose that inner judge. Call it out for what it is. The most crucial step in silencing that inner critic is shining a light on it, right? We grow so used to the endless background noise, it almost becomes like a white noise. You hear it so much that it doesn't even bother you anymore. It just sits there. We grow so used to the endless background noise that's flooding our minds that we fail to see when it commandeers our thoughts and takes over our emotions. So let's look at some of the red flags here, some clear signs. Let's take a look at a few, right? Some red flags that might signal that your inner critic is ready to take control. Why? So that you can be mindful and intentional and watchful for these things. You have to be ready to catch the critic in action, right? Pay attention to your internal state. What do you start to feel like whenever you're getting ready to work on a project or whatever it is that you may be getting ready to step into? Catch the critic in action and start to pay attention to how you start to feel on the inside. The doubt attack. If you find yourself starting to question your abilities, it's a red flag. Energy crash. Have you ever been motivated, right? 100% ready to go. I got this, right? You get everything together. You get your desk all set up and everything. You get your water, your tea, whatever it is. You sit down and then all of a sudden, there's a sudden dip in energy for no reason. You are hyped. You've been hyped about, man, I'm going to this workshop. I signed up for it a month ago and I've been waiting. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it. Then all of a sudden, just a plummet in energy for no reason. Why? Because that critic may be draining you. Red flag. When that energy crash comes, that zeal, you find yourself like going, man, I'm not so sure now. Watch it. Stuck, bored, or drained. You start to feel unmotivated, or all of a sudden you sit down with whatever the project is, whatever it is, and then you just seem unexplicably tired. You're like, well, I was feeling good. Now I'm tired for no reason. So what do? You take the stack of books or you take the computer. Well, I guess I'll start tomorrow. Who's going to know? Nobody's going to know, right? These are the things that judge might be whispering that negativity. But remember, you're so used to it. You're so accustomed to it. It's like white noise and you don't even realize it. You succumb to the fact that, I had a long day. I'm just tired. Oh, well, it is early. I'm not usually up at this time. So maybe that's why I don't have the energy, the enthusiasm. It's that inner critic whispering that white noise that you've allowed it to whisper and take over your thought pattern and your emotions. So, what you have to do, start to explore your inner landscape, right? The way you look around and explore the things that are on the outside. What's important is what's going on in here. Explore your inner landscape and pay attention to self-doubt. Sudden energy dips are unexplained, boredom or fatigue when you're getting ready to undertake anything. Why? Because again, these are critical red flags of that inner critic. So you're able to silence it before it even picks up the microphone. You want to be in the position, right? In the spot to where you learn these cues and be instantly, not today, not today, ready to take control and say, step down and take the mic from this voice that's in your head. You have to be ready to fight back. Let's look at 5 quick and simple ways to start challenging. Put a challenge to it. Start to challenge that inner critic. These, as simple as they might seem, but if you really be intentional about putting these things into action, you will see that they're surprisingly, as simple as they are, very effective. Try memorizing them so you have it down, right? Like a personal mantra. So whenever you hear that floorboard in your mind squeak, you know how you have that squeaky floorboard in your house, and sometimes you try and step around it, or you go over it, or you're going up the stairs and you have that one stair step. No matter how quiet you're being, it has that little creak. So when you hear self-doubt creeping its way up and you hear the subtle creak of that little floorboard, you're like, I'm ready for you now, right? Ask yourself first, is this helpful? How is this serving me? First thing, ask yourself, is this helpful? How is this serving me? Instead of blindly accepting the negative thoughts, begin to question their purpose. The way that you would interrogate someone else if they brought this to you. Be like, girl, are you crazy? You better than that. You got this. Man, you're so talented. What's the problem? I don't understand it, right? Begin to ask yourself and interrogate yourself the same way. Ask yourself, are these thoughts pushing me to improve? Or are these thoughts simply holding me back? Then ask yourself, would I say this to a friend? You have to begin to treat yourself with the same kindness, empathy, and compassion that you'd offer someone else that you care about. So asking yourself, would I say these things to a friend? Then ask, what's the evidence of this? What's the evidence of these thoughts that are coming up in my head? Don't allow the critic to bully you. Begin to challenge its claims with facts. Facts. I know that I'm good at this. I may not know all of it, but guess what? I have the capacity to be able to learn to be able to do it, right? So start to challenge the claims of the inner critic with facts and evidence of your capabilities. Begin to shut down the doubt. Begin to challenge negativity with proof of your strengths, right? Don't get stuck in that analysis paralysis, as we talked about yesterday. Challenge that negativity with the proof of your strengths as well as your achievements. Remember the things, how far you've come in the past. Remember how far God has brought you already. Remember that you are made in his image, which automatically out of the gate qualifies you and makes you able and gives you the ability to be able to move forward and silence that critic in your head. You are worthy, right? Then you ask, what's the worst that could happen? Don't let fear hold you back. This inner critic, it loves to blow risk out of proportion the way that we can. We can take something and we can just blow it up within our minds to the point to where we begin to agree with the voice that's in our head. We start to go, yeah, you're right. That could, yeah. Mm, I didn't think about that. You're right. That could happen. Good morning, Paige. Good morning. That, you, if I did go that way, yeah, you right. We talk, we start to talk to this inner critic and start agreeing with it, which what gives it power, it manifests, it makes it bigger, it empowers it, and it takes the control away from you, right? So ask yourself, what's the worst that could really happen? Is it really that scary? Is it really that serious? And you might be surprised at how manageable it starts to become. You can visually see, you know what? I got this. I'm not listening to you today. So consider that worst case scenario and honestly do that investigation of that internal landscape, the overview of whatever it is, and honestly assess if it's really that terrifying, because it will come back to haunt you and remind you of things. Let me tell you a quick story here on this. And this was third grade. You say third grade, how you remember that? I never forget it. Every time I go in the store and I see a particular fruit, I'm reminded of how I allowed my inner critic, right? Self-doubt to hold me back. There's a box at the front of the classroom. There's a small hole in it. The teacher's telling all of us, come up front, put your hand in. You can't peek in. Put your hand in, and then write down on your little paper what you think it may be. Everyone's going, and I'm talking to myself. You got this, Tori. You got this. You can do this. You can do this, girl. You got this. That's what I'm telling my little self, right? So it comes to my turn, and I get up there, and I remember the teacher. Her name was Miss Cobb. She says, "All right, put your hand in." Let me tell you, that critic in my head told me that it was everything in there from a wild rogue chicken to a snake to a possum that was going to bite my hand off. There were so many things going through my head, not looking at the fact that all of my other classmates had put their hand in, they felt around, and they were fine. Me, I'm convinced that whatever was in that box was specifically waiting for me, because that's what my doubt demon, what my inner critic told me. Now, here's the kicker of this thing. I never put my hand in there. I went and sat back down. Now, here was the kicker of it. If you did not participate, once it was revealed what was in the box, right? Whether, those that guess right or wrong. So Miss Cobb, she takes the cover off the box. Inside the box was a nice, long, green, yellow, bright, shining watermelon. Yes, watermelon. She proceeds to cut it open, give everybody a nice chunk on this nice hot day. I'm telling you, I can remember this because this is one of the times when that doubt demon, that inner critic, left a lasting impression on me. It left me sitting there the rest of the day with no watermelon, right? Looking like, my goodness, my goodness, was it really that bad? Was it really that serious? Tor, I'm telling you, I was in an all-out cry to the point where she was even trying to nudge my arm in, but I could not do it. I could not do it. So don't allow that inner critic, that doubt demon to hold you back. So every time I go into the grocery store, I just chuckle now. I mean, every time I see a watermelon, that thought ping, ping, pings in my head, and I make it intentional to encourage others. Don't let it hold you back, because fear will make you miss out. The next question, ask yourself, what if I did it anyway? I ask myself, what if I did it anyway? What if I put my hand inside that box? Well, for one, I would have me a nice juicy piece of watermelon. But anyway, shift your focus from the what ifs that breed fear to a powerful, more powerful statement. What if I did it? What if I do it? We have to make that shift, because this point, by putting ourselves in this position, it empowers you to take action despite the doubt. Right? You follow me? So that inner critic often speaks in the language of fear. But we have 2 Timothy, a sure word. 2 Timothy 1, verse 7 assures us, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. What does this mean? This means that God equips us with the tools to challenge these doubts. With his power, love, and clear thinking, we can silence the inner critic and make decisions that are rooted in two things: in faith and in courage, right? So remember, the key is to challenge that inner critic, not silence it completely. And we'll get to that by questioning its negativity and reframing the way that you think. Remember, all week we've pushed through saying, take that negative and instantly turn it into a positive. Reframe your thought pattern, no matter how big it is, no matter how small it is. Instantly take that negative, find the positive in it, and take back control so that you can move forward. Tame the beast, not silence it. What do I mean by that? And you're like, well, Tora, you just been sitting here for the last 26 minutes telling us to silence it. Keep it quiet. Take action. Watch for the red flags, right? And now you're saying don't silence it, right? While it can be a pain at times, here's the thing. Completely silencing that inner critic isn't the answer. Think of your inner critic as a fire alarm. Now, a blaring fire alarm in the middle of the night, it's annoying, right? But if there's actually a fire, you'll be glad it went off. So the critic is the same way. It can point out potential problems and keep you cautious. But the key here is, what's the key? Is to learn the difference between a helpful hand up and a full-blown meltdown. You have to be able to discern the difference. If you're feeling a little nervous, right, about a big presentation, that's the critic keeping you sharp, right? It's okay. Have a few little nerves here and there. But if it's telling you that you're going to bomb the presentation, you're going to mess up your words, you're going to forget half of it, that you're a fraud, that they're all going to laugh at you, nobody's going to pay attention to you while you're standing up there, right? That's where you draw the line. So you have to be, when I say, tame that inner critic beast, that doubt demon, not silence it. You have to be able to know the difference in when it's being helpful and when it's being hurtful. You see what I'm saying? So don't silence the critic entirely. Instead, become its detective, right? Get on its trail. Listen to your critic, but fact check it against your strengths, right? Asking, is this a valid concern, or is this just fear mongering that I'm allowing to take over and brew inside of me? Facing self doubt. It can feel lonely. You feel like, I can't even share this with anyone, that I'm dealing with this, right? But trust me, you're not alone. There are millions of people right now. It is 5:59 a.m. Central Standard Time. There is someone that's waking up, and as they dress, they are toiling with the fact that I'm not good enough, because that voice has spoke to them. They've laid there. They've tossed and turned all night about the day that's upcoming. They've let this voice convince them. So no, you are far from being alone in this situation. But Joshua 1:9 is here to remind you, have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid nor dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. This verse is there to assure you that God is by your side, even in those moments of uncertainty. Why? With his constant presence, you're able to find courage to challenge that inner critic and be able to move yourself forward. Remember, the choice is yours. I can't make the choice. All I can do is encourage you this morning, share this information, pray that something sticks to where when you start to hear that voice, when it's winding itself up today, remember those old toys, you wind them and you wind them, and you know that stupid thing gonna pop out. What was it called? Uh, I can't even think of it. Can anybody think of a little box and the stupid little clown thing when you were Jack in the Box? Remember those? That's what it winds and winds and winds itself, and then poof, it pops out. And then yes, thanks, Kendra, the Jack in the Box. And even though you knew, right? You knew, and when you would wind that little weird, remember even the crank had this weird sound. It was like and you knew that stupid little thing was going to pop out, but every time it popped out, what would you do? Ooh, you jump back from it, right? Tell me you didn't, and I'm gonna tell you, you better quit playing. You knew that thing was about to pop out, but it would make you jump back each time. And then sometimes you get so agitated with it, you slam the lid down and push that little clown Jack, whatever that thing was, back down in there. But what would happen? What would happen? You go back again and wind it again. So that's what doubt does. So the choice is yours. You can allow that thing to continue to wind you and wind you and wind you, then pop out and be like, gotcha. Or you can remember that the choice is yours. And these questions that you ask yourself, they become your weapons, your sword against self-doubt. Use them and use them wisely. Keep chasing those dreams. Keep working on those projects. Keep expressing yourself creatively, right? The inner critic might never fully disappear. It's a part of having a thinking, functioning mind. But by recognizing and calling it what it is. What do they say? Call a spade and a monkey, right? Is remember and calling it out, saying, you're just a voice that has no power if I don't wield it over to you. Take back your power. Become the author of your own story, not a character in your own play that is being controlled by fear, because that's what happens. So keep going brick by brick, and you'll begin to build a future that's fueled by your own fire and not extinguished by the doubt that you allow to push you back and hold you down each and every day. Remember, you have the power to silence that inner critic and to be able to achieve your dreams. I pray this morning show was helpful for you. You walk away with something saying, I got this. When that crank starts to turn throughout the day, you immediately stop it and hold down the lid and don't allow that Jack in the Box of doubt to pop out and act like you're surprised because you know it's coming. Right? So hold that lid and don't allow it to pop out and overwhelm and surprise you today. Remember, join us tomorrow back here, 5:30 a.m., First Light Reflections. The intention of this show is to make us aware of these things, right? To face them head on. So a year from now, a month from now, a decade from now, we don't find ourselves stuck in the same place, dealing with the same issues that we've been fighting against year after year after year after year. And now we look, because as time is not slowing itself down, it's still moving. While we're stuck in the sand, right? We're stuck in that quagmire, that bog. We're bogged down. As I said yesterday, First Light Reflections is here to get your feet moving forward, to hopefully help you throughout the day to be like, right, I got it. Take those negatives, turn those into positive. I look forward to seeing you back here, 5:30 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow, right? Remember, we're here weekdays, Monday through Friday. You on your own on Sabbath and Sunday, right? But we'll be right back on Monday. I look forward to seeing you. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day, right? You already know what's coming. Walk good, do good. And I'm going to throw in be intentional. So be intentional, walk good, do good, be good. Tornado, I'm out.